So I'm just gonna sit on that dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on that dock of the bay, wasting time.
Maritime Matters is brought to you live by Bahamas Maritime Connection.
What is maritime?
Maritime, simply put, relates to navigation or commerce on the high seas.
Some say money makes the world go round. I say ships move the money that make the world move.
Who navigates those large international ships?
How often are international ships required to be surveyed and inspected?
Maritime also protects our seas and borders by way of our local Bahamas Defense
It is
Force.
very sad to say that out of 1,500 plus ships that are registered under the Bahamian flag, only a very small amount of Bahamians are employed.
Maritime Matters.
Pleasant good evening to you, our valued listening audience. Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. On our show, Maritime Matters, we talk maritime. Our sponsors for today's show are One-on-One Pharmacy and also Island Care Pharmacy. For all your medication needs, check out my little cousin Shanty McBride and her lovely team at One-on-One Pharmacy in Nassau and, of course, Island Care Pharmacy in Freeport. Fill your prescription at the store or send your refills via the online site, oneononepharmacy.com. That's One-on-One Pharmacy, or lowercase, one word, .com. 3 locations, East Street South, Charles Sanders Highway, and, of course, Explorers Way in downtown Freeport. We are secondly sponsored by us, we, Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited. At BMC, we provide a full slate of ISPS maritime security services. Third, we are sponsored by the joint sponsorship of the GBI pilots and the Bimini pilots. These are a contingent of independent marine pilots that are making themselves available to provide marine pilotage to any and all ships, whether you be in New Providence, in Grand Bahama, in the Family Islands, anywhere in the Bahamas. That means private islands for cruise ships, you name it, you name it. So please, feel free to call on GBI pilots or Bimini pilots for all your marine pilotage needs. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we got a loaded gun. We are locked and loaded. Going to dive deep into our local maritime matters and even deeper into international maritime feats. Our discussions tonight will include the Spanish Wells commoners. They actually oppose shanty town demolitions in Spanish Wells. That's Royal or Russell Island, is it? Russell Island. Right there off, we go by Egg Island, drop anchor back in the day. We will always search Russell Island. Why? Because we thought they might have had some of those square groupers. So we would search Russell Island. We always go around that little reef, that little wreck on Egg Island, which is easy to find on the radar because it stands out. But Russell Island used to be bush back then. Now, as we know it, they got quite a bit of shanty town. And those, we may call them shanty towns because they're not built based on the building code. But they got people who own those land. They call them commoners. They commonage land, as we call it in our family islands. You know, some of us, we got commonage land from our grandparents and whatnot on some of our islands. Well, there's commonage lands on Russell Island from the people at Spanish Wells. And over a period of time, as the migrants came in to do the work, to build the big-time homes and to do all the work in Spanish Wells, they needed somewhere to stay because you know what they used to do back in the day. You in Spanish Wells, before dark, boy, if you ain't from there, you got to be out of there. You know, Spanish Wells got them pretty colored people. They want you there unless you get pretty color or unless you related to someone there. So when we go in on the boat, the Defense Force boat, you know, we ain't had no pretty color, but we know nobody could run us. So we used to take delight in living, hanging in Spanish Wells overnight and just, you know, go in the shoot pool and have a few and that type of thing. because we know Spanish Wells is a peaceful place. But here it is. Russell Island was built eventually, and they were built and caretaken by, you know, some of our friends from the South, our brothers and sisters, you know, who work for cheap labor. And over time, some of the owners of the land decided, okay, you could be my handyman, you could be working for me, and some of them have legitimate working permit. So I'll build a little something on that land I got over there, but they didn't do it the proper way. Anyway, we'll talk, but whether this is legal, who's benefiting from it, and, you know, we got to make sure they get it right. So our Superman, the Minister of Works, Mr. Clay Sweeting, and his contingent have decided that we put notice on these things. We get 1 month, and that 1 month is about to be up. I think that's just about up now. So it's time for the demolition team to move in, my boy Craig and his crew, and take charge of that situation up there in Russell Island. We also want to talk about those gangs in Haiti. You know, these guys running things on the ground in Haiti for the past couple months, just over a year, I think, as we know it. Haiti is really a wreck right now. There's no sense of stability. And these guys decided they're going to try their hands at taking some ships that come to bring supplies. So what they did, they went in the harbor and took over a ship with food, plenty food. And, you know, they help themselves with all the rice they want, and they hold the crew ransom. We want money too. We can talk a little bit about that. Were they successful? We'll find out in a little while. We also want to talk about this situation brewing, that if we're following it close enough, we would realize that this thing could lead into World War III. Because we got so much little things going on right now that could brew into big things as far as war is concerned, that if you wasn't paying attention, maybe you want to start Googling what's going on in the world now with these countries that are sending war messages. You know, very, very recently we had Iran. They sent a barrage of missiles and drones. And I'm talking about ballistic missiles now. These them heavyweight, these, you know, drone. Now the drones, of course, could do damage because the drones can also carry explosives, and whatever they hit is going to explode to some extent, like grenades, right? But those ballistic missiles, they take it out the earth. They putting down big holes. And if they land on the building basically disseminate, eh? They send a barrage of them. Now, mind you, because of the strength of the Israeli border control and the Israeli defense mechanism, over 90% of those ballistic missiles and drones that came in direct from Iran were intercepted and destroyed in midair. So they didn't land. Mind you, some did land. Don't fool yourself. Some did land. So here it is now. Iran is sending a message to Israel, because in recent times, I think Israel was accused by Iran of destroying one of their embassies in a nearby country. I think it was one of those countries, Syria, it could have been Syria, or one of those that are not very stable right now. And Iran is saying, look, you blow up our embassy, we sending some at you now. But not only that, because this thing didn't start with the embassy. This thing started from way back in the 80s, eh? And I could tell you about a story. Well, we'll go into that when we get back from the break, right? A story about a ship that was going to Israel on a weekly basis, and that ship was taken over by terrorists that wanted to go into Israel. And these terrorists was from where? They were Lebanese. And they had support from Syria, of course. They had support from Iran. And they didn't pull it off, but we'll talk about that. And that really started, it was a cruise ship that really started how the IMO put measures in place to address attack on cruise ships, passengers, and crew, and the rest of that stuff, right? But what is happening now, as we have seen, and the entire world is asking for de-escalation, right? Because you got to remember, Israel is not in a very good position to say, why are you all picking on us? Because the world is already saying Israel is going too far with this war in the Gaza Strip. The people are suffering. Many people are dying from hunger. They're not allowing anything to get to them to help them. So, you know, the world is saying that, you know, Israel is really in a catch-22 right now. It's hard to say these people shouldn't be coming after us. And as far as Iran is concerned, you taking advantage of a country that cannot even defend themselves. Is Iran right? We'll talk about that later. And then they got the 3H, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and of course Hamas that started this whole thing with Israel bombarding the Gaza Strip, eh? What about the oil interests in the Gulf? You see, what we got to think of too is in that Gulf where all that oil is. You know, you got the Persian Gulf where you got, well, I mean, we could start with Saudi Arabia, we go all the way up to Iraq, Iran, you got Kuwait, Qatar, all those oil wealth countries. They have different fractions interested in getting the oil. And the big one, of course, I think the most oil coming out of that region goes to the USA. And that goes by way of Saudi Arabia, which has a very, very large oil reserve. And why would the US be backing Israel to the extent that Israel is backed by the US and the allies of the US? That's Britain and France and Australia, and you know Canada. You know the US move around with a team. And of course, we part of that team, I would think. I mean, we ain't part of the war team, but be part of that team as far as supporting the U.S. and things that they do, because you and I and everybody else that has any common sense will know that the Bahamas, by virtue of our geographical location, is fully protected by the U.S. They're not going to let no country come and take over the Bahamas. Not with the U.S. right there. The U.S. ain't going to have that, right? And we have other situations, right, going on, like the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, that has been going on for over 2 years now. And then, like, from my very first show, I indicated that Russia is going to inevitably win that war. It may take 3 years, 4 years, 5. It's been going on for 2 years now. And you know what's happening, ladies and gentlemen? I'll tell you what's happening. Right now, if on a grand scale of things, as the Russians die and the Ukrainians die, the numbers are getting smaller. So Ukraine right now is finding it very difficult to feel the amount of men needed to continue fighting this war against Russia. Because if Russia lost, just throwing a figure out there, let's say Russia lost 5,000 men and Ukraine lost 5,000 men. Ukraine do not have another 5,000 men to replace them, said that was lost. But Russia has another 20, 30,000 men to replace the 5 that was lost. Eh? So as time moves on, Ukraine would be in a less and less favorable position to continue this war and to win this war. Of course, they're getting a lot of money from other countries, but what we are not going to get, and unless this happens, and I know it wouldn't happen, I don't suspect it can happen, where you would have other countries providing manpower to assist Ukraine on the ground. We don't see that happening. So we know that over time, like everything else, Russia will emerge as the winner in that war. They would have hand in who's going to be running Ukraine, and they're not going to allow anybody to get right up on their buffer. Ukraine is a buffer country. Belarus is a buffer country. They got quite a few buffer countries left, eh? And they're not going to give them up because the Bahamas could be considered a buffer country to the U.S. Could you imagine a country coming to the Bahamas to say they're coming to take over the Bahamas? You think the U.S. is going to allow it to happen? They're going to allow somebody to be on their front door? I wouldn't even call it a back door. Be on the front door of Florida. No, that wouldn't happen. So in this regard, I don't think Russia's going to allow Ukraine to join up with the EU so that the EU could be right on their border. They want to keep that buffer. Eh? And this is the reason why this whole thing going on, for those who wasn't following. So that's a possibility of World War III being afoot, because now Russia got to be very careful to limit that aggression to Ukraine. Don't try and cross border and fool with a European nation. And this is the reason why Ukraine is in this position, because they decided they want to consider joining up with the EU. Now, once Ukraine joins up with the EU, people, we know what that means. That means by being a part of an EU or the EU, by being an EU nation, they can also join up with NATO. What is NATO? The North Atlantic Treaty Association. NATO is everything in the North Atlantic. That's North America, Britain, Europe, Sweden, Denmark, all the Baltic area, all of you. So those European countries are all part of NATO. And if you're part of NATO, that means all the American weaponry could now come in your country, eh? So you think Russia want Ukraine, which is right next door to them, to be able to take on all the American, the British, the Australian, the Canadian, take on all of their artillery? No, Russia wouldn't be able to stand a chance against that, eh? So Russia is going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that Ukraine remain isolated from NATO, isolated from the EU. And that is what this is all about. This isn't just Mr. Putin trying to be aggressive. No, Mr. Putin is trying to protect his turf, like all other countries protecting it. And let's think about the next thing that is on track to occur. And if you've been following world news, you would hear all the time, right, that China is potent to take over Taiwan. You know, the Taiwan Strait right between Taiwan and China. Yeah, remember, Taiwan is very, very close to China, just like the Bahamas is close to Florida, eh? Taiwan is about that close. And China, you got to remember that the other countries in that region, like particularly the Philippines are in bed with the U.S. So the Philippines can set the stage for U.S. weapons to be on the ground in the Philippines. Now, the U.S. and their allies in that area are not only concerned about China taking over Taiwan, you know, because it's inevitable that if China wants Taiwan, nobody really could stop China, eh? Just by geographical location and the voluminous strength that China would have compared to anybody else in that area. So while China may be able to take over Taiwan, they don't want China to get the wrong idea and say, after Taiwan, now we get for the Philippines. And it's the same thing with Russia. The Europeans don't want Russia to get in their head, okay, so now we finally get Ukraine. let's go for one of these European nations. No, don't try that, because now you will feel the might not only of the entire European Union, but also NATO. But of course, NATO will not be in that region where China and Taiwan is. But if they try Philippines or anything near that direct vicinity, well, of course, it's going to be another World War III, eh? Because the American and their allies is not going to sit for China taking over Philippines where they already have presence. And it's the same thing with Israel. America has a lot of equipment on the ground in Israel. See, if you remember now, that area, that we call it the Far East, that's not the Far East, that's the Middle East, that area where Israel and Syria and Pakistan and the Gulf and all those countries, that area, the U.S. don't have that many friends that they can actually put their weapons on the ground. Do you know that Israel has so much strength with their air power that they're probably the strongest air force in that region? So if Israel decide now, with all the stealth and F-16 and F-14 and all those airplanes, air power, military air power, they're going to deal with Iran. I can tell you that it will be very difficult for Iran to survive that. And again, it's not just Iran, because Iran also have allies. And we don't want the situation to be where Russia is one of the allies of Iran, and she now puts on the ground in Iran some nuclear weapons. China, being an ally, decide, okay, we can't just have Israel taking over this place, because they also have interests in that area. Everybody gets oil out of there, eh? So this is the tension, the reason why the United Nations and most countries in the world today are saying, let us de-escalate this situation. We don't want this to escalate into a war, because we don't know where this could end. And that is what's going on, my dear friend. So as we move on, we will talk about Norwegian Cruise Line. NCL sets long-term strategy. They're going to be ordering 8 large, huge ships over the next couple of years. We got the facts on that. Then you may have heard about the new global coral bleaching. The coral reefs, because of the heat in the ocean, are starting to bleach and turn white. And they're losing life. You remember the corals are plants now. So they're losing life, and that pretty color and all them pretty color fish that feeds on that pretty color, all of that is now being impaired by the warmth of the ocean. And it takes us all the way back to our carbon credits. Well, not carbon credits, but carbon neutral. By 2040, the world wants to be carbon neutral, because the carbon is in the environment and is blocking the heat from getting out. And as the heat is trapped, the earth is getting warmer, the oceans are getting warmer, and obviously things like this will be happening. So what is the answer? The answer is the track that the world is on to become carbon neutral by 2040. That's the answer. Anything else would be a disaster. It's going to keep getting worse. We got some other things to talk about, like onboard carbon capture and storage. They got the way being paved for carbon neutral. You got ships that can, instead of the exhaust emitting the carbon out into the air, it traps the carbon, channels it into a tank that's built inside the ship, convert it to either liquid or solid, because you know carbon is only vapor. And when they reach in port, they can actually, a truck could come and actually take that out, and they can take that somewhere, and they could either store it at the hundreds of feet into the ground, or whatever the case may be. But that's carbon that would not have gone into the environment. So we can talk about that. We could talk about our regular cruise ship ports that we need in our family islands, like Morgan's Bluff and Sandy Port and Cape Eleuthera and all the rest of them. I don't know if we can get that far tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, those are the basic topics that we seek to engage tonight. Be advised that we are locked, we are loaded with information, as always. So please, stay tuned as we unload this litany of details surrounding these timely topics. I take this opportunity again to give a shout out to my number one fan, Auntie May up there in Freeport. Oh, my girl. Auntie May say a backslap in the border her. Oh, Lorraine backslap. That's why she ain't by Lorraine. She said by Vernice. Auntie May, you just hanging there strong, my dear. 91 years and going strong, people. Heading for 92. Those 4 lovely daughters of hers, grandkids, a great guy, all of them taking care of my good Auntie May. So, you know, they're keeping her busy. Nothing but love. So, a special good night to you, Auntie May. Continue to be the number one fan of Maritime Matters. To our listening audience out there, I take pleasure in introducing you to the man behind the controls, our wonderful producer. Ladies and gentlemen, I reserve no hesitation in presenting to you tonight the insatiable, the man of the hour, the man with the power. He is fully able, quite capable, the one and only, Mr. Craig Gibson. Yes! And he forgot to salute tonight, but that's all right. That's my dog. You're listening to Maritime Matters, people. On this show, we talk maritime. Maritime Matters airs weekly at 17:05, right after the 5 o'clock news break. 17, remember, from 12 o'clock, well, we start at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, straight up to 12. And instead of go to 1 p.m., we go to 1300, eh? So after 1100, then 1200, then it's 1300. That's 1 o'clock. 1400, 2 o'clock. 1500, 3 o'clock. 1400, 1600 is 4. And, of course, 1700 is 5. So our 1700 news break, or our 5 o'clock news break, 5 minutes long. Maritime Matters come on right after that. So 5:05 p.m. every Tuesday here on Love 97 FM. Purpose of our show is to highlight persons that made significant contributions to maritime in the Bahamas and to sensitize Bahamians of opportunities in the maritime sector, eh? And there's loads and loads of them. Every now and then we can do a show on just opportunities for Bahamians that are not being taken care of by those responsible. We know who they are. We also cover current maritime issues from the domestic and international maritime feeds, as you have heard our listing of topics we want to cover tonight. Halfway through the show, which is now just after the break, you can call us. You can be a part by contributing to our discussions. Keep it maritime, and that's how we go. Now, remember, war's maritime. Now, I'm a military man. I am a trained soldier. I am a qualified naval officer. Well, I'm getting a little old now. I know if I can still do what I used to do, but I can tell you, if push come to shove, I could go on them ships and I could do the navigational warfare maneuvering and all that good stuff. Yeah, man, easy. I know I still could do that. So the number to call is 326-8255. Again, if you want in on discussions that we're going to be engaging, 326-8255 is the number to call tonight. We're talking maritime, people. You are listening to Maritime Matters. At this point, we move to our first break. And when we return, we will engage tonight's maritime discussions. Listen, people, don't touch that dial because you don't want to miss this one. Thank you very much.
At One-on-One Pharmacy, our friendly staff is ready to serve you. Visit us today for all your prescription and over-the-counter needs at our East Street South or Charles Saunders Highway locations. We're open Monday through Saturday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from 9 to 4 on Sundays. In a rush? Send your refill scripts online at oneononepharmacy.com or ask about our convenient pickup service. One-on-One Pharmacy, providing personal health care with people at heart. At Bahamas Maritime Connection Limited, we offer first-class maritime security services throughout the Bahamas and the wider Caribbean. As experts in maritime security, we specialize in production of ISPS assessments and plans, verification audits, certified familiarization training, and port security consultancy, just to name a few. Our services also include provision of a security force to maintain all required ISPS facility security compliance. For all your maritime security needs, visit us today in Nassau at our East Street South location or in Freeport in the Kipling Building. Call us at 392-3515 or follow us on all social media platforms. Bahamas Maritime Connection, your leader in maritime security. Let's help you make the connection.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for, look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Look like nothing's gonna change, everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Maritime Matters. Again, I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. My good old producer, Mr. Craig Gibson, is hanging in with me tonight, as usual. He got my back. Number to call, 326-8255. Feel free to chime in at any time. Anything you want to discuss maritime, let's do that. And our big topic for tonight, really, local-wise, is the commoners. The commoners, or the commonage land owners at, I think, Spanish Wells. So we got a call on the line. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hey, good evening, Glenn. How you doing?
Hey, my brother, in top shape and getting better all the time. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You got a very interesting, lots of interesting topics. But let me chime in quickly so I can give other people a chance.
Yeah, man. Please feel free. Feel free. What's up?
All right. Let me give you a scenario. If a guy says to you, if you slap my little brother, I'll kill all your family, you still gonna serve his little brother?
No, you would. That's. I mean, you know what's coming if you do that, eh?
So why does Hamas attack Israel?
Well, you got to remember that Hamas is an insurgent. Hamas is not running the Gaza area. They just have the little pocket groups. They're like a gang. Like how we had gangs in the Bahamas back in the day.
After Israel went in, they realized that Hamas basically was running it with all these underground tunnels, and basically those guys seem like they were in charge of Gaza.
No, but that the reason that is like that. Yeah, but you know how long this war was going on, right? This war was going on over 100 years.
So let's go back to my question. Hamas knew what was going to happen when they attacked Israel, right?
This is not the first time Israel was attacked by Palestinians, right? Now, let's look at Hamas and let's look at Hezbollah. Hezbollah is also considered a terrorist group back in the day, but they have now emerged where they are actually running the government. They're running as a government the Palestinian, the Lebanon and all that, So Hamas is just another faction, but they have no influence on the running of that country. So what I'm saying to you is, if a group come out of a country that is not running that country and attack another country, you're going to just mash up the whole country because that one group which represents a small fraction or a small percentage of the country did what they did. I'm not sure that's the right approach.
Country, Glenn, but it appears as if Hamas is so entrenched. In order to get these guys, I mean, what do you do? Because when you leave them alone, they come back again. You know, they're like cockroaches. You cut off the light, and when you cut it on, they're there again.
Yeah,
so how do you deal with that?
That's what I'm saying is that is the way it is. They're so entrenched. That's like if the Bahamas right now said, "Boy, we can get all the illegal migrants from Haiti out of here." You can't do that. They're so entrenched now. We can't just say we can get rid of all that.
Well, I don't think we can get rid of all, but you know, that brings me to my another question. What do you think would happen in the Bahamas if we enforced every law?
Well, we could enforce the laws pertaining to employment. Well, if we enforce every law, we wouldn't have this problem.
Well, that is the thing.
we so slack over the years. We allow things to develop.
Exactly. So we don't have a big problem. We know what the solution is. Enforce the law.
Enforce the law. Exactly. I bet you want that 1,000 times.
Yes, and another thing, because you know I know a lot of people want to get in. This guy barbecue in Haiti. Mm-hmm. I was watching international news, and there was a statement that he made that caught my attention, and that statement was, "We're going to get rid of corrupt politicians, and then we're going to go after all of their corrupt oligarch friends, and then we're going to rebuild this nation." That is what his statement was.
Well, maybe that is what he might want, but you can remember, anybody can have a statement, eh?
Yeah. But I'm saying, for a guy, let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And say that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking.
Now, I don't condone violence in any way, not murders and all of that thing. But it appears as if this guy, if we give him the benefit of the doubt, wants to restore Haiti in some way because he's seeing some things that he didn't see any other way to deal with, and no end to it, other than the route he's taking.
But he can run wild and rampant now until a peacekeeping force gets in there, and that's why it's so important to have a peacekeeping force rather than the Kenyans have volunteered some police, like 1,000 policemen, to come and assist, or is it 100,000? How much ever policemen from the police force to come and assist with stabilizing Haiti? But Haiti doesn't need police. What Haiti needs is military, and this is why I think they didn't get the approval, because they have armies, they have military people who could come and do peacekeeping along with other military personnel. What Haiti needs is for an entity, just like they did back in the 90s when persons from the Defense Force in 94 and 95, I think it was, sent different contingents on for up to 2 years just to stabilize it. It became stabilized. Now, I don't know what happened after it became stabilized and whether...
corruption happens.
Well, corruption happens here too. Corruption happens everywhere in the world.
Well, that's basically the number one thing that happens in the country.
Yeah, so once the people are allowed, I think the problem there was the people were not allowed to elect their own government. I think that was the biggest part of the problem. They didn't have free and fair elections. They were basically given, somebody was placed to be the president, and eventually that didn't work out. And what they need is like what we have here, what most people have in the Caribbean, elections where the people chooses the leader. You have proper elections, the people choose the leader, and that way, with the support of the international community, that leader would be able to have a proper police force. They would begin to put in proper systems of government, and I think Haiti, like every other country, would have a chance of getting out of that rut. It's not impossible, because Haiti got a lot of smart people.
I think the key to that is having the peacekeeping force there for an extended period of time.
There you go.
A very long extended period of time. But moving forward, let me just bounce back to something else. Mm-hmm. Our islands seem to be experiencing an uptick in crime.
Yep.
That's kind of concerning to me. The islands experiencing an uptick in crime. Just because I heard on the news that now, we got to up the game in Abaco, Elutra, things like that.
Yeah.
Does that concern you in any way? Does it tell you anything about the way our country is headed?
It tells me a lot of things about the way our country is headed, and you knocked the nail on the head earlier when you said, well, it's two things you said. you talk about the corruption situation, and you also talk about the situation of we not applying our laws, right?
Yes.
And as long as we go in that direction by letting the laws slip through and people do it, we're going to have chaos. And as countries develop, because you remember Bahamas developing all the time, as countries develop, crime escalates. That's just normal.
Yes, I agree. One more thing, because it's a small thing, and I want this is just a word of to the police. In terms of traffic, it is against the law to have these extremely black tinted cars. I mean, and everywhere I traverse the road every day from 7 and 4, and every 2 cars is tinted heavily black.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man, can't the cops see these things?
But you got some red plates tinted black. So if you got red plates stained black and they're not trying to ensure that the laws are being observed, I mean, it goes down. Some policemen, when they're off duty, that tints blacker than everybody else on.
But Glenn, if you're looking for a guy with a submachine gun, he's in the turning lane next to you.
That's right. That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But you're absolutely right. And it goes back to enforcing the laws, because these things are outlawed, but we just not enforcing them enough. Every now and then they'll go and pull people over with tints, but this need to be a routine. People need to be afraid to have tints on their cars. You understand me?
It needs to be a part of the everyday job of the police officers. Glenn, thanks for listening, man.
Man, I thank you so much for your contributions. Very timely and very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, my brother. Calling you on Maritime Matters. My apology for you waiting so long.
Good day, Captain Bain. How are you?
Hey, good day to you, my brother. I am in top shape and getting better, man. How are you?
Wonderful. I am wonderful. This is Airman First Class Marvin Johnson / Captain.
Captain!
Airman First Class. Don't forget
First Class. Yes, sir.
I hear you and the last caller discussing the situation in Haiti. See, when you're playing a game of poker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you got to play with the hand that you've been dealt, right?
Indeed.
Good. In order to maneuver your way around here and there, you pick 1 or 2 cards, and you could come out on top. The problem with Haiti, Captain Bain, from 1789, 1804, right up to present, it ain't the educated persons in Haiti. Well, I wouldn't say that. The educated persons and the wealthy persons in Haiti are not the ones that are really, really, really on the ground causing all this problem.
Absolutely.
Even though they're backing them, they're backing the gang.
Yes.
The biggest elephant in the room, see, because we could send peacekeepers, which we have done. We could send aid, which we have done after the hurricane. We could send billions of dollars, which the Americans did the other day. The problem is, the biggest elephant in the room is education. See, for years now, a lot of those Haitians' education has basically passed those people. So no matter what you give them, if you ain't educated, see, my grandmommy always say, manners, respect, and education will get you through the world.
Yeah, but education, sorry, caller, but education and intelligence is 2 different things. I mean, it's almost all in the same, but you don't have to be educated to be intelligent. My grandparents would have run circles around a lot of people who was educated when it comes to being, it's just common sense in a lot of things,
Well, when I say education, I mean education just like what you're talking about in its basic form. You ever try to discuss something with a person who is literate?
Man, I spent my first couple of years in South Andres, right? And I can tell you some of those older people didn't have the opportunity to go to school. They can't read and write. Boy, but if you talk to them, they run circles around the regular person today who could read and write, who went to school for 12 years.
Because that is what you call, what them would be talking about, that's wisdom.
Yeah, but the Haitian people have a lot of wisdom. I don't want you to sleep on these Haitians. The ones that we see, right, are not the proper representation of the majority of Haitians.
I agree.
So let's not think they don't have the capacity, because they do.
But what?
They just need the opportunity. They need help.
Why are we not giving them all the international? We didn't give Haiti everything. We even on the drawing board now trying to figure out something. But the Haitians, especially the ones with the education that are contributing to all this disruption, what they they trying to find every excuse as to why Haiti the way it is.
No, but they need semblance. See, they need systems in place. They need to be able to elect who they want, have a proper opposition, have systems, and they need help to organize that. Because if you are in chaos, you can't organize nothing while you in chaos.
Yeah, but you tell me back in the day when Papa Doc, those Haitian people, and them was in charge, what happened to them?
Okay, you see the country called Iraq, right?
Yeah.
When Saddam Hussein was living and he was in charge of Iraq, there was semblance, there was order. Now, he did a lot of things that we would think, boy, look here, somebody got to do something with him, right? But the Iraq today, and I could even go on to say Libya with Gaddafi. The systems fall apart. So now to get that system back again.
Out of your classrooms, a lot of people who don't need leaving certificate and have not a team. Look at the Haitians that are here. A lot of them. Look at the Haitians that are in North Miami, that are all over. The ones that have little semblance of education. You see them as they get on the way they get on the way.
I want to take you back to Iraq. I want to take you back to Libya. I want to take you back to Syria and those countries that are in chaos, right? Do you think those people are educated? They are.
Possibly so.
But I'm saying to you, because there's no semblance, there's no order, to pull that together takes more than the people who are going through that turmoil. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I've been observing, and like I say, the cards, they help me, and I've been searching every way to determine why, after all them years, 86, and I come to the simple conclusion, I think we need to, while we're giving them the support, we need to send some people down there and take 10 years to try to educate them.
My brother, it can't be us. It has to be a contingent from the United Nations or a very powerful country like the U.S. or Great Britain or some country that well, of course, you see France ain't gonna touch it, right? And that's the motherland.
That is exactly what I am.
So it takes the United Nations.
Like old people say, you could give a man a fish.
Yeah,
but the best thing to do is teach him how to fish.
How to catch his own fish. Well, that's what we're looking at with Haiti. And, you know, we like a buffer right now for the situation because the Bahamas is blessed geographically to continue to succeed. And they come here, they could at least make a couple dollars to send home to those who suffering. And it ain't our problem, but if you're in trouble, you could turn to your neighbor. I mean, where else could you go? And it ain't like they really want to be here, but sometimes they feel like this is my best option, right? And we got to understand that 100 years down the road, the tide might turn.
Listen, Captain Payne, I study, I try to keep up with Haiti.
Okay.
Like everybody said, they are brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. I see some things in Haiti that are dilapidated. Haiti have a lot of rich history there, Captain Payne.
Oh, man, you ain't telling me. I've never been to Haiti, right? But I have some close friends who've been to Haiti, and I can tell you, my good friend who's the ambassador, I'm Godfrey Roll, the things that I learned from him about Haiti. That's why I tell you, I don't want you to think the general populace in Haiti is not educated. Because that ain't no small group to deal with.
But listen, my next question for you.
Yes, sir.
The voting licenses. What's the situation on that? What's the update on that?
Well,
licenses, or did they move on that? What's the situation?
I am not in a position to tell you exactly, but my understanding is that they had reduced the rates back to normal rates, that affordable rates, I should say, because you know it was really distorted initially, and I don't think many people were able to pay it, but they had a relook. They had revisited that, and I think a decision was made that the rates, and I probably got to call my good friend, the port controller, Brian Wright, sometime soon to ask him what exactly is the situation. Or my good friend who normally calls in, she normally keeps her hand on the pulse. I hope she called in today so that I could ask her what is the exact situation right now with the boat registration fees. It's the fees you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have, the last I read or heard about it, they had reduced it back to affordable, because I think the government had realized that they had made a mistake and they had reduced it, but they were still supposed to, I think, bring it to more stability moving forward.
Okay, I'm ready to buy my 26-footer, but listen,
Man, give me some of that money.
Good to listen, always informative. I don't know, I tuned in kind of late. You move your time up or something?
Yeah, the time has changed to 5:05. That's right after the news break on Tuesdays, 17:05, 5:05, and we finish at 6:35.
Well, I didn't hear my other learned friend chime in yet. If he did,
no, he ain't chiming yet.
We always make good contribution. That's the other.
Out of brain, out of Captain Brain, yeah.
Who I always see.
You sound like you're a Valley man.
All right. Any man might be an excellent commander and captain and all of that stuff, but tell him, then he come to Bay Street, Chief Stinking Goat's going to strip him of all his accolades.
Man, nobody could beat her, be Russian and pacing, man. And building costume, and you know I can defend my boy with that. You know he's the costume.
I say when he put on the costume, I skin him like him and he put a George.
You just put something on him and George. Okay, you know they used. Yeah, thank you so much, man. I can make sure tell him that.
Okay.
Yeah, you take care, man. Thanks for the contribution. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's we had two extremely good contributions to our topics. Of course, the main one being the situation with the Haitians. And you know, we can't live in a shell and ignore what's going on because, of course, what happens in Haiti impacts us here in the Bahamas. So we have to keep an eye open. We got a lot of Haitian descent and Haitians in the Bahamas among us. They are our brothers and sisters. And there were times when we had open borders between the Bahamas and Haiti, open borders between the Bahamas and Cuba. I heard about those days. I know captains who told me they used to take vessels into those areas and just did trading by sailboats. So we all in one scoop, eh? We don't want to feel like, we above this or we below this. No. All of us in the same. It's just that right now there's a lot of turmoil. There's a lot of chaos. And at some point, this will be over. Trust me when I tell you, even if it takes another 50 years, this will be over. And with the resources that Haiti would have, they would be in a very good position to pull that country back together. And that's my prayer, that's my hope. I'll probably be going long before that. But I can see that happening in future. So we're talking about the commoners, the Spanish Welsh commoners that own the land. They're saying to the government, they're saying to our Superman, Minister Clay Sweeting, look, we don't want you to, well, some of them, and I understand the minority, not the majority. The minority is saying to Superman that please don't break down the shanty towns on Russell Island because we give them permission to put it there. You could give somebody permission to put an unregulated structure, whether it be on your land or any land. So now we need to, I don't know, you must need to lock up some people who violated the government building code or the government procedures for building a structure and make them pay. And you know, I recall a couple of years back when former Prime Minister Perry Christie was in power, they said back then that they were going after the landowners, not the occupants of the shanty towns, but the people who own the land that the shanty towns are built. They were going after them, and then all of a sudden, well, it wasn't all of a sudden, but eventually we stopped hearing about it, and you start hearing, oh, well, you'd be surprised to know who owns some of them land, and things like that. That's all I've been hearing. And it was apparently not pursued the way it was, we were led on to believe it would be pursued. So we need to get back to that, eh? Let's pursue the people who own the land where any of these shanties. And if government own the land, let's just flatten them. Flatten them. Because we know government ain't giving no permission for them to be built. If government do not own the land, let's get those landowners in court for allowing structures to go up that are not regulated based on our building code. And if they are built to specs, they were not, while they were being built, it was not verified by the entity, the building team in the Ministry of Works that goes out whenever we're building something to approve certain stages, eh? So let's deal with that. Again, ladies and gentlemen, as our time is ticking, the number to call if you want in on this show is 326-8255. You're listening to Maritime Matters. I am Captain Glenn Bain, your regular host. I'm looking for a second host. But my boy, the next Miss Captain Brain, look like he ain't sure he wants to start hosting the show. So anybody with maritime background who feel like they want to be a host or assistant host or whatever, please let me know. Because, you know, sometimes we could get, we could bounce things off and keep going from there. We got a call on the line. Oh, we like callers. Caller, you're on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hi, I gotta say hello to Auntie May.
Hey, Auntie May! That's what I'm...
Well, this is our favorite niece in Nassau, Auntie May. I want you to listen to me. Auntie May, everybody is talking about solving Haiti's problem. What about solving all the Bahamian problems? We have a myriad of problems here.
I agree. We have a lot of problems in the Bahamas. So does every country, I would think. But, you know, Haiti is in chaos right now. I don't think that we could compare our situation with the situation that is going on in Haiti.
But if you look at it, this thing has been going on for centuries. We don't have the Midas touch.
Well, it's not us that is being asked to solve their situation, you know. We're asking that the United Nations and the leading countries in the world deal with that. I'm not saying the Bahamas need to deal with that.
Well, I understand that too, but what I'm saying, you get sick of hearing about solving Haiti problems, and you got Bahamians around here who don't know the last time they had a decent meal to eat, but we overlooking all of this, and we're looking at Haiti's problem. I mean, you have to be humane, but what I'm saying, we got to put more emphasis on solving the Bahamian problem.
Well, I agree with you. You ain't get no kickback from me on saying that the Bahamas government needs to take more care and concern that the lesser among us are taken care of, because we have the resources to ensure that happens. And I passed on Wolf Road today by the place there on Wolf Road where they give lunch every day. What's my good friend name who started that up? The pastor.
Walter Hanschel.
Walter Hanschel. You know, and you passed there during, it must be around 11:30 I passed there. And you see the line so long, and one time ago people would probably be shy to go around there and get food. But now people depend on that. And if Brother Walter Hanschel could build something like that, what is the government doing in tandem to say that, okay, so we see that we have factions that are doing these things for people who need food in our country. We are doing something a little bigger over here. And that's an easy fix, eh? We
yeah,
but
what I'm saying too, everybody forgot that the United States sent billions of dollars down there to Haiti. And what happened? The corruption and the politicians did what they did.
Yeah, well that, again, when the U.S. did that, in most cases, they selected who they want to run Haiti, eh?
Well, that's
we're saying that the people need to select who they want to run them.
Well, that should be everybody's, the world lobbying so that Haiti can have free elections. Then it may sort itself out. But we can't keep taking on Haiti's problem because we got a lot of problems there.
But we're not taking on Haiti's problems, my lady. We're not really taking on their problems. I am only suggesting that the United Nations put something together so that Haiti can get out of the rut that they're in. I'm not saying the Bahamas needs to take over the problems. Because we once they're doing bad and we're their neighbors, they're going to be moving across to try and now remember we got a lot of Bahamians in other parts of the world too, particularly Florida. A lot of our people migrated to Florida because they wanted to try and have a better way of life, eh? So
yeah, but what I'm saying, when you go into a man's country, you must realize that you are a visitor and you didn't come to take over and to take to the authorities.
Well, they will try to take over if you don't apply your laws and if you allow your system to be so slack that they could, because we have enough in our laws to ensure that that cannot happen. But we now, like my second caller said, we now need to ensure that our laws are being enforced so that we don't have to be faced with even an inkling of that happening.
Well, you know what I think? The Bahamas needs a reality check, and we need to see where we went wrong in these last 60 years. We need a reality check and be truthful with ourselves. But the Bahamas now, we lie a lot, we full of tricks, we full of games. And until we be real with ourselves, ain't nothing happening. Bye, Auntie May.
Amen, sister. Amen to that. I couldn't have said it better. Goodbye. And Annie Mae told me that I don't hear my niece saying hi, Annie Mae, no more. I'm so glad you called, and I'm so glad Annie Mae hear that, because boy, you make a month with that. Thank you so much for making that call. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue on Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. We are halfway through our show. Well, we got about half an hour left, and we still got a litany of topics to cover. We were talking about the commoners, and I want to just wrap this commoner situation up. I said that we had a government in place led by former Prime Minister Perry Christie that said we're going to go after the landowners. And here are these commoners who are the landowners. They put structures up for their workers and permit holders and whatnot to just live so that they don't have to go to the mainland and come back the next day. And they some of them are saying, look, we don't want them shanty towns, we don't want those structures to be taken down, Mr. Government. But you know we can't listen to that, because first of all, they break the law by allowing those structures or causing those structures to go up without having the requisite inspections and all the rest of that, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I point out again, this is not the majority, this is the minority of Spanish Wells landowners, the ones who own the communist land at Russell Island. So the minority, some of them saying, look, we're making money from this thing. We don't want them to go nowhere. Where these people can go if we take it down, and we ain't gonna have them right here to beat us the next day. Come on. We ain't all about that. We need to get it right. Now, if you want them there, then you put up structures, or you cause structures to be built based on our laws and regulations and our building code, and have the requisite inspections, site inspections being done as you move from phase to phase to ensure that everything is being done legal. We ain't got no problem with you having them there, but make sure the structures are legal, and also make sure they're legal. Eh? And that's how I roll with this type of thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our next topic. We said that two of the gangs in Haiti went on board a ship. They became pirates. Now, the difference between piracy and armed robbery is piracy is armed robbery on a ship or on the sea. If it's on land, it's robbery. If it's on the sea, it's piracy. So they went on board this ship that was loaded with food that came in, obviously, whether it was for food stores or whether it was just to give out to people. And they took charge of the food, the rice and all the rest of that stuff. And maybe I could just quickly read what the Maritime Feed, the International Maritime Feed from Maritime Executive had to say about this. It said Haiti's gangs tried a hand at piracy, hijacking a ship full of food, right? And it's not a long thing to read, so let me just read it so you could hear exactly what is being published on this matter. Haiti's gang warlords have turned the country into a disaster zone, abusing the citizenry and shutting down commercial transport in and out of the country. As if their violent behavior sure were not enough, two gangs recently decided to turn to piracy, hijacking a cargo ship full of food at one of the nation's largest terminals. Last Thursday, members of the 5 Seconds and Taliban gangs, now that Taliban is no relation to the Afghanistan Taliban, eh? Those two gangs captured the freighter Miguel Lee at Port-au-Prince's Vareux. I think it's Vareux, V-A-R-R-E-U-X. I'm no expert on language, so I call it Vareux or Vareux, right? That's like Devo, I guess, Vareux. Terminal district, according to local media. They made off with some with 1/6 of the cargo of rice. Now, you know these ships is carry plenty rice. So 1/6 would be what? About 18%, something like that, 15 to 18% of the rice on board that ship, which is a lot of rice if this is a big cargo ship loaded, eh? Haiti's primary staple food. So the main food in Haiti is rice. Whether it be white rice, I don't think they do peas and rice because they can't find peas, but they do rice. And they took all the crew members hostage. That's what the police said. Kidnapping is rampant in Haiti and has long been a favored form of piracy worldwide. Now we know, especially up in Somalia, up in the not the Gaza Strip, but that is the Suez Canal area, the Red Sea, and then you got the Gulf of Aden. The Somalians, they want to get the ship into shore because they want to get money for the crew release. They hold all the crew hostage, and if you want them, you got to pay money to get them. They hold the cargo hostage, and they hold the ship hostage. So they trying to get millions of dollars for everything. So what they saying now is the Haiti group is trying, well, they say piracy worldwide, is trying to get into this piracy thing, eh? So on Saturday, just passed. Now it's Thursday when they went on the ship. So on Saturday, Haiti's national police stormed the ship in a gunfight that lasted for 5 hours. That's what the agency said, eh? They had a big fight going on. The police ashore trying to get on board the ship. The gangs on the ship shooting back at the police. And that before the police was able to take charge of that situation. It took over 5 hours. 2 officers were injured in the altercation. And an unspecified number of gang members were killed. So thank goodness no police was killed, eh? But a couple gang members had to be killed. And the vessel was safely recovered. This happened on Saturday. Haiti's National Port Authority assisted with transport for the boarding teams. And that boarding teams would be the police, eh? The fate of the crew is not known. According to Haiti Libre, I guess that's a newspaper, I don't know what's going on with that, but Haiti Libre is saying that, according to them, nobody knows what's going on with the crew that they kidnap, eh? A video provided by the police showed the Magali making way astern off the coast. So she pulled back her throttles and made her way out, apparently being towed on the hip by a large tug. So the Magali is now basically out. And I don't know, they can't go without crew, eh? Anyway, Port-au-Prince's waterfront operations have come under attack by gangs multiple times, disrupting the flow of aid and supplies. So there you go. It could have been aid or it could have been supplies. Aid would obviously be the free stuff. Supplies would be the stuff that they just trading and they come to sell. Vandals damaged the Veru power plant last month and briefly occupied and looted the nation's largest container terminal. CPS terminal's waterside operations were closed for weeks and may still be shut, according to the UN's Famine Early Warning System Network. So there you go. They had 2 gangs, the Taliban and what the other one name? They went on board that ship. They took a lot of food off. They had a big shootout with the police. Lasted over 5 hours. A couple of their people were killed. The 5 seconds in the Taliban. And the ship eventually left. They don't know exactly what's going on with the crew, but I would assume that the crew must be on board if the ship left, eh? So that's what went down with the piracy in Haiti over the weekend. Well, it was Thursday and Saturday. So do we have World War III about to emerge? Will there be escalation with this Israel-Iran conflict, where Iran sent a barrage of missiles, ballistic missiles, and drones into Israel, saying that they're blaming Israel for the taking out of one of their embassies, I think in Syria, sometime earlier this year. Will that be the end of that? The entire world is begging for that to be the end. But very, very recently, I think Israel said, that ain't end there. U.S. is saying in one breath, we needed to be de-escalated. In another breath, well, if it happened to go that way, we have to go we have to back Israel. So we have to see how this unfolds, but we are hoping that this whole thing is de-escalated, and that is the end of that. Because we know that over the past couple months, especially after Hamas went into Israel and did that big bombing, kill up a few people and grab a lot of hostages and went back into the Gaza Strip. We know that after that happened, Israel would have responded very, very heavily. Responded with artillery. They bombed certain parts of the Gaza Strip to powder. A lot of civilians. I think when Hamas made her move, something in the range of like up to 3,000 Israelis were impacted, were either killed or injured, but they're moving well into almost 40,000 from the Gaza Strip that has been killed as a result of the response. So, it's 10 to 1 heavy-handed. I dare say, I think that's kind of heavy-handed. But that's the way war go, eh? And you had the Hamas that started this whole thing off. And then you have Hezbollah, which really took over the reins of running the country, because Hezbollah was also deemed back in the day to be a terrorist group. Because you always had this war going on between Israel and the Palestinians, eh? And Hezbollah clean up their act, and now they're running the country. And I think they had a relationship going with the Israelis. But Hamas ain't checking for that. They just go on and do what they have to do. So Hamas could be deemed the reason for all of these people being killed up, because Hamas is so intertwined into the Gaza area. They got a lot of tunnels. They live among the people, and they're from the people, and all the rest of that. So Israel ain't taking no chances. They say, look, we can't have this repeated. We can make sure they get the message, and that's how that's going on right now, right? And then you got the Houthis. Now, who are the Houthis? The Houthis are the Iran-backed terrorists in Yemen. Yemen lines the Red Sea, where all those ships come up through the Red Sea to get to the Suez Canal, to get from the Indian Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea, which is a big shortcut. Otherwise, all the ships have to go all the way around Africa, and that take them an additional 14 days at a moderate speed of 20 knots, eh? An additional 14 days to get back up to the mouth of the Mediterranean Sea. So, for the past couple weeks, I won't say months, maybe 2 or 3 months, the Houthis have been bombing vessels that pass along there to go, especially if the vessels were linked in any way to Israel. Because what they were saying is, we don't like how Israel is not allowing aid to get into the Gaza Strip, and people are dying from hunger, dying from no medical assistance, and all the rest of that. So we're not going to allow ships to be carrying stuff to Israel either. And that was their premise. And then they tied it in, of course, with the U.S. and Britain, and the U.S. and her allies, France and all them, and say, any ship with your registration or any ship with your crew, we be bombing. And they were very successful in actually launching ballistic missiles at ships in that area. And most of the cruise ships and many of the cargo ships like MSC and Maersk and all them, they decided they're not even going to go near that area no more, because until that situation is de-escalated, until that situation is arrested and taken care of, we're not going to take the risk. So the Houthis have been very successful in causing even Egypt, who makes a large revenue from the Suez Canal, is feeling the pinch, because the pilots, the crew, the tax they make from these ships using the Suez Canal, all that basically down to 5%. So they're losing 90% of their revenue, etc., etc. We got a call on the line. Oh, I hope you wasn't waiting too long, caller. Caller, you on Maritime Matters. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Top shape and getting better, my friend. How are you?
Excellent. I was just traveling home and I remembered your show and just tuned in. But I just heard the last part. Basically, you're talking about the Israeli war.
That is correct.
You know what's so amazing about that? Mm-hmm. They attacked Israel on a peaceful day, on a day of what we would call an Christian worship. Not one voice condemned what they did, Hamas.
Oh, no. Plenty of people condemn Hamas.
No. When I say condemn, actually take action. Israel sat back, you know. When Israel responded, everybody, the man, child, now crying that Israel is too heavy-handed. Let me tell you something, man. Those people, as you said it, they are running the scene. If the Palestinian people and all those Arabs were honest people, they would not allow Hamas and them to live among them. But because they allow them to live among them, they will suffer the consequences. They brought it on themselves. Nobody brought that. If Hamas had left Israel alone, this war would not have taken place.
Yeah, but if you have a child in your house that decides they could join a gang, right? And that gang go there and do some stuff and that child was part of that. And they come and kill everybody in your house. You think that's fair?
No, listen now.
But that you're not going to put your child out because they join a gang. I mean, where you can put them?
What about?
Well, you might, but I'm saying the normal family wouldn't. Because these gang members are from our homes.
Sir, listen to me carefully. To every action, there's a reaction. There's a consequences to everything that we do.
Yeah, I agree.
Places.
Yeah, but you can be heavy-handed. You can be heavy-handed though. Like if they come to your house and kill up your other children just because this one child was involved in an incident. I think that's a bit too heavy-handed, eh?
No.
You don't think so?
How long has Hamas? How long has Iran? How long has the Arab world been poking at Israel? How long have they been? Well, they try to say that's their land.
Yeah, that's over 100 years. I mean, whether it's their land or not, we know that this war was going on. We had criminals in our country, some in jail, some, when the guy come out of jail and he got on an ankle bracelet and the fellas go for him. Now, suppose they go to his house and kill his family. Wouldn't that be too heavy-handed?
You waiting for my answer now, right?
Well, of course. I mean, because that's where we would be going if we were to see it from that perspective. That's where this country of ours would be right now.
Right. My son goes to jail. He comes and he has an ankle bracelet for whatever he did, and I've spoken to him. I'm sure every parent in the Bahamas has talked to their child. Maybe not. Let's go on the assumption that 60% of the parents in the Bahamas have spoken to their children about doing wrongful things. And you go and do it, you put them out.
Yeah,
you don't tell me now that's heavy-handed, you don't put your child out.
No, let's say your child go to jail and while your child...
Let me say this.
Go ahead.
A lot of them, their description.
Yeah.
I don't want to be offensive, but they said this. We're the only animals that God has made that keeps its young. Every animal kicks its young out of the nest.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And you ain't getting no kickback from me on that. But what I'm saying is if your child does something, goes to jail, and while your child is in jail, the fellas can't get him, and they come to your house and kill up the rest of your children and your wife. How would that not be heavy-handed?
Let me ask you this question. I know your mom and you know me well.
Yeah, of course.
Growing up, you and I could have done foolishness with her life.
Well, I mean, we could have done it, but of course, we probably would get kicked out. But that don't stop the culprits from going after her, even though she kicked us out. See, that's when it gets heavy-handed.
I'm trying to draw a point home. We know how our parents brought us up, and we know, people say we were chickens, but those of us who joined the defense, we weren't chickens, we were brave. But the point is, we had mothers that were more serious than Hamas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the world is asking for de-escalation. Now, you see what Iran just did. Now, how do we factor Iran, which is a very strong military might in the Middle East, attacking Israel? Now, Israel can mash up the Gaza, but she can't readily mash up Iran the same way, eh?
Why not?
Pardon?
Why not?
No, she can't because while the Palestinians do not have the defense that Iran would have, or even the offense that Iran would have, it will be easy to do that to the Palestinians. It would not be as easy to do that to the Iranians. Plus Iranians also have support from Russians, Chinese. See, you got this thing. This is the World War III. Now you know you probably didn't hear when the show opened up, and the question was, are we on the verge of World War III? Because this small little escalation can blossom into World War III. We don't want that.
Well, put it this way. I don't want to make it religious, but whether we like it or not, the Bible already declared that all these nations will poke at Israel. The Bible also declared that I will put a hook in Gog and Magog's, Iran, Turkey, and Russia, and China. I will pull them towards you, and they will come to slaughter you, and I will rise to your defense. Now, people will sit back there and they're going to get angry with me for saying that, he's fanatic. The Bible, finding one man throughout the century, has proven the will of God to be wrong, and I will worship him instead.
Yeah, and
God's word has been true. And so, therefore, these little escalations, Iran has been backing Hamas and all of the Houthis and all them long time at Israel. They've been backing them.
Exactly.
What they're upset about is that Israel now has gone and found their tunnels and is eradicating them from poking. Leave the bear asleep. Don't wake the bear. You wake up that bear when went in there, he hibernating, he was angry. They poke at a bear.
Yeah.
They poke the bear at the wrong time.
You're absolutely right. And I guess we could agree to disagree on whether or not this thing may escalate into World War III. But where does it stop? Does it stop at all? I mean, is it a little? Should it be considered, okay, now we done hit you, you done get us back, or will this go on forever until almost half of the population will be dead and the mass will be beat out?
All right, let me answer that for you if I quickly can so the person get on your show. Let's look at it. If all the Arab states would rise up against Iran and Hamas and say, look, enough is enough. You all have caused this. You can't dwell on our borders. You can't operate in our countries. What do you think will happen? They will cease. They don't want to. What do you do with hunger? Well, listen, the kind of money they spend digging in tunnel and buying weapons, they buy food for the people and invest in that. They will have this issue of hunger. I'm not trying to be cold and cynical, you know. All I'm trying to simply say to you is this. Take for our brothers in Africa. Sometimes when I read the papers or I see news come on, this leader in Africa got 3 houses in the U.S. worth $3.5 million. Got a yacht, got a couple jets, couple Ferraris. Check his country. The people starving. What he doing? He ruling through mass genocide, killing all the people. But the other African nations do it. And people don't want to admit it. The reason why Gaddafi was killed, because Gaddafi wanted to bring the whole world back. If you want to buy oil from the Arab states, he wanted the gold standard. You can't buy oil no more with US dollars. You have to use gold. US don't got gold. They ain't got the kind of the collateral. So therefore, the reason why Gaddafi would school a child, and I'm not a great supporter of Gaddafi, but there's some principles he had. If you look at it, every other world you look at it, you'll see it. A child born in Gaddafi's country can go to university free, no fees. When two persons get married in Gaddafi's country, he gives them up to $50,000 US dollars for their home. He gives them 1 year off to enjoy their honeymoon and get to know each other. When they have a child born, he gives them X amount of dollars for the child being born. And so what I'm trying to say is this. Here was a leader. He did some things wrong. None of us perfect. And I'm not condoning and saying he's right. But look at the good. All of us do good, none of us do bad. So let's try and look at the good he's doing for his people. So what they did, they got rid of him. Look at Saddam. All that destruction in Iraq did not take place. One Delta Force just like how they ran at bin Laden. They could have gone in and taken Saddam out. But why did they blow up? Why? To sell arms. In Russia and Ukraine. They want to sell arms. The President of the United States, and I don't get you in trouble, but I'll say it, left over $3 billion worth of continuous worth of fresh rifles, handheld rocket grenade launchers and everything. It's still in plastic. Who does that? When you withdraw your military force from a country, you make sure all of your assets are out of country first, out of theater.
Well,
he did it. He left it.
It
What
depends.
he armed Hamas. He armed all of those terrorist groups. Come on, man. So my point is this: while we won't condemn Israel, be very, very, very careful.
But I'm not sure anybody's condemning Israel, though.
There is. They're not. They're trying to tell them ceasefire. Ceasefire for what? That's like, all right, let me turn this scenario
by
around.
asking them to de-escalate doesn't mean they're condemning them.
Hold on. Let me turn this scenario around. I come in the house, violently kill your mother, rape your daughter, shoot your son in the leg, go after your uncles and stuff. You come home, you're a military man. You snap. What the hell? And you know what it is? Man, ain't no one will stop you till you take revenge back.
Well, I agree, and that's pound for pound taking revenge. If Hamas had gone into Israel, for example, and just rampage a lot of civilians in their homes and all the rest of that, and they take out like 20% of the population. See, you got to look on a grand scale of things, pound for pound. Are we dealing with the same thing? And I say we probably will agree to disagree on the fact of as to whether the Israelis are going too heavy-handed after all that they've done and they're continuing to do, right? But I want to get to the next level of this, where if the Israelis decide now to go back with the same intent at Iran, that we may be on the verge of World War III. See, this is where I'm trying to go.
I agree with you. I understand that and make your point. But my point is this. The world, see, I can say this, and this could sound very religious, very fanatic. Christ has been telling us in the Bible a long time, when these nations, you will hear wars and rumors of wars, famine, pestilence, earthquakes in diverse places. We had an earthquake in Jamaica. We had an earthquake in Jamaica for years. We're hearing the Bible is being fulfilled right before our eyes. Christ said, before I return, these things will take place. But here's the sad part about this. I tell people, listen, don't take this wrong. I know people can condemn me when they see me. Because God in His mercy, we call Him a slacker. When God used to kill people like Ananias and Sapphira, when you lied and you just dropped dead on the spot, He ain't doing it no more. We figure God is slack and He on a vacation, but He's still the same righteous God, the same holy God that was back then. But grace says now, wait, turn, don't do this no more. Please stop. Before that, He just used to strike your hand. But now we figure that He's a weakling. And He said, He told them, and it's there in His word, the nation that come against Israel, I'm against you. Okay. Take Israel for Himself. He gave them a land. United States, Britain, and France divided that land and gave it to the Palestinians. Chased the people of the land.
I will give you the final say on that, and with that, you know, because there's only 2 minutes left in the show.
Oh, sorry.
I so thank you for your contribution, my friend. You always have very good contributions to the show, and I encourage you to continue calling. I guess we took it a little off the line a bit with the war tactics and what's going on. But again, I don't want my listeners to get the intent that you were saying that World War III is on the verge because they're going to go after Israel. Because I really hope that wouldn't be the case. I hope that this will be de-escalated, and I think the most of the world is hoping the same thing. Because I don't think when the Bible says to us that you're going to have everybody coming after Israel and Israel will be able to defend itself, that it's really talking about this thing escalating to World War III. Because World War III would not only be Israel, it will be Israel and many other countries will start to get involved. As I said earlier, you got the Ukraine, Russia war going on. You get China look like they're going to take over Taiwan, and you got Iran backed by a lot of other countries. So if you start having these big countries getting involved and backing these smaller countries, then of course, at the end of the day, whoever's losing is going to turn to nuclear. We don't want to go there.
That ain't gonna be nuclear. Trust me on that.
You think we going there?
No, it ain't gonna be. The Bible, I will stop with you. The Bible says God is going to settle us all. Everybody goes after Israel. That is prophesied. It will happen, and He's going to settle it. So
I'm so glad you had that input to make us realize that they ain't going on the road.
Listen, nuclear. God will not allow it. He is going to have the final say. He's going to restore Israel, resolve Israel, and vindicate Israel. It isn't going to go nuclear.
Thank you so much for closing our show out on that good note, my friend. Okay, you take care, man. We'll keep in touch.
Yes.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, that's my very good friend. Back in Defense Force days, and we still continue to talk. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with that, as you know, our show is coming to conclusion. I thank you so much for following and listening, and I thank those exceptional callers. We had some really exceptional calls on our show today, and we got a lot of information out there. Well, of course, as always, there's some that we didn't reach, and we're gonna have another batch for you next week. We may touch on how NCL sets this long-term strategy with ordering these 8 ships. Of course, we got to touch up a little bit more on the new global coral bleaching. Would it get worse? And the carbon capture that we talk about on storage on board these ships. We didn't get to talk about that to any significant extent. But all in all, I think we had a wonderful show. My producer again, Mr. Craig Gibson out of Nassau. I think he hailed from Crooked Island. One of them, Savannah Sound, Elutra. Okay, that's the man. Craig, them Gibsons, you know, they all over the place. But he's a Gibson, and he's a good Gibson. And I want to take good night to Annie Mae again. One more time, Annie Mae, good night to you as we close. My sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, Bahamas Maritime Connection, 101 Pharmacy, and Bimini Pilots, and of course, Grand Bahama Pilots. And that is our show in a nutshell. Again, thank you for listening to Maritime Matters. I am your host, Captain Glenn Bain. With that, I say Maritime Matters. Out.
The ships roll in, then I watch them roll away again. Yeah. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. I've had nothing to live for, look like nothing